Hello, 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 hello. Listening to Jiri Krishnamurti and Dr. David Bohm and Dr. David Schoenberg at Brockwood Park, England, 1974. It is my favorite conversation series, and I highly recommend to everybody to listen to those every day. It will transform you, it will expand your mind. So, we got a matching clay today, matching my sweater, and also matching my nail polish again. I used this before, but I thought, which clay do I use? There was only one that would, there were two. Actually, I see now there are three I could have used. But this one is the dominant color here in the sweater. And then I have a darker blue, and I also have a green, but the green doesn't match this one. And I have a purple in this color, so could have used that purple too. I have a purple here too. It's a nice sweater I made myself, and I also made the pants. It's my entire outfit here, self-made and self-designed and self-sewn. Took me many months to complete this. All the subjects, they tie in with one another. No subject is completely separate from the other, and that truth of non-separateness is happening into infinity and everywhere in infinity. And the word everywhere I have to only use as a sort of it's just a loose terminology in order to communicate what I'm talking about, because in truth there is no such thing as everything or all. And Dr. David Bohm pointed that out. He saw that as well. There is no such thing as everything, because in the infinite cosmos there is no end to anything. We're dealing with infinity. When you really understand infinity, then there are endless possibilities out there. That's a fact. It's a mathematical fact. I wonder if Stephen Hawking got closer to that truth, to that realization, or whether he stayed rather connected and attached to the field of reality that we have here, because that's what he was dealing with. He was dealing with things from the entrapment of this reality that we exist in. Okay? But it's just one out of infinite numbers of realities that are out there. Okay? I don't know if he realized this. I'll be very interested to know. I would love to talk to him if he could talk to me from the beyond in some form, in some AI, and if he came back as a robot and would report from all of his lifetimes and from the beyond. And I would like to know what he thinks now, and I would like to know what he thought before he died, and how far he had come in the realization of metaphysics. Meta means beyond physics. Is that what he has researched and studied his whole life? Outside of the field of reality physics. That's what there is. Okay. That's in the infinite cosmos, this place that we have here, this place of Newtonian physics that we have here, is just a minute speck of space that we occupy here on this planet, and maybe this solar system, maybe this galaxy, maybe this universe. Okay. Maybe the Newtonian physics will extend out in quite a wide range, So, but there will come a point when you keep probing out away from here, just take any direction. You probe out and you just keep going, and that's what they're trying to find out by sending out specific rockets that just fly by themselves. So there are some rockets, some spaceships that are on their way out. So I don't know if they will keep on transmitting any information indefinitely, so that, but what will they see? What will they find? Will they eventually be able to leave this universe even? That is the question. Or is that not possible? I don't know. But whether the spaceship makes it outside of the galaxy and outside of the universe, what is there outside of the universe? Then there will be something else. Then there is the possibility that the Newtonian physics are no longer applied. Okay, and then it will be a different realm, a different existence, a different space. And then if you probe any further, then you might come across different energies. And then at some point you might enter into another universe. And you can explore many universes if you just thinking, mathematically thinking out and keep on going. So that's what I'm talking about. If you know, if we are not facing the limitations of a spaceship, if we just theoretically go out into space and you imagine you're just being a little sphere of energy, and you just go out and imagine that whatever is there does not affect your sphere of energy in any way. You just keep on going, and then you keep on sort of recording what you see. So that is what I'm thinking about a lot. Even as a child, I thought about this. I thought about infinity. I thought about what the purpose was of my existence. But only a child that is suffering will ask that question. What is the purpose of my existence? If you receive that love that every baby, animal baby, human baby needs, then there is not really a point in asking that question, because then you are not suffering. Then you're in the flow of the good feelings, that are going through your system. Good feelings always make us being in the flow. It's when we have bad feelings that we ask those questions, if at all. Most people don't ask the question even then. Maybe they're afraid. Maybe they're afraid of their religions to ask those questions, because a lot of those religions have drilled it into people not to ask any questions. But to ask questions that's really the key to finding out. And it's the people who are at the end of the road asking questions and not being afraid to ask questions, not being limited by some kind of religious threat, which is all an idea only. It's all religious threats they have been designed to oppress people, to keep people silent and willing as slaves. Today we have corporate slavery. So, but there are some people that are at the end of the road that have recognized this is all bullshit, religion, all of this, and all kinds of these different things. It's all bullshit, and they are suffering, and they realize, I suffer. I'm at the end of the road. Where I'm going to go next? So if you don't suffer, then there's not much need to get into this type of material, because your life's working out and you're not suffering, and things are wonderful. And then there are people whose lives are not wonderful, but they're in denial about it, and they keep on driving the train that doesn't work, because they might get like little breadcrumbs of reward along that path. To me, that's not satisfying enough. No. So I'm the kind of person who says everything or nothing. I'm not okay with breadcrumbs. I find, and what I mean by breadcrumbs is these little specks of reward or achievement, little specks of it here and there. We don't even know how it came about. It's kind of random, sort of. It's kind of like, like occasional winning at the slot machine. That's what makes people the most addicted, by the way. They found that in rats too. Terrible, terrible animal tests that they have done. They tested rats and they found out that when the food comes out only intermittently and kind of in random sequences, not in expectable sequences, somehow it causes the reward center to fire happy hormones and happy chemicals like endorphins much more in much more abundance when it happens than when the sudden reward happens. And that causes the addiction. That's why people get addicted to gambling. That's why they get also addicted to women, like a man will get addicted to a woman who only shows occasional love. My mother always told me, you need to play hard to get. It's like when I was a teenager, I always thought like, what? Like, why? It didn't feel right to me. It just did not feel right. And I said, no, I'm not going to play that game. No way. Not going to play that game. That's ridiculous. So society-based stuff, and I want nothing to do with that. It's beautiful, this color. I think what people are most afraid of, more even than hell, punishment from in the afterlife or something that they have been told, which is an idea, it's not truth. What a lot of people are terrified of that. But I think what terrifies people in general, in the world, some more, some less, some more this, some more that. But I think what's the most terrifying factor for humanity in general is fear of social rejection. That is the most terrifying thing there is. And that goes into deep unconsciousness. And even if we talk about this and we debate this and all this, people will be, I don't know why my nose is always itching. People will be in denial. They'll say, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not really doing this. Yeah, that other guy, he's doing it much more than I do, or I'm not doing it. But they're not willing to really look at it. They may be tricked by their own egos. The ego is very trick smart. The ego is very, very, very alert at all times. and has already plan A, B, C, and D, like escape routes to take. The brain is on fire in that regard. So it's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm doing this, and I'm doing yoga, and I had these amazing epiphanies, but they won't even call it enlightenment, because the ego already knows that if he called it enlightenment, it would be regarded as non-enlightenment, and it would be regarded as socially unacceptable, because then you would look like someone who brags. And this is what's happening in the brain at all times. It's a pressure cooker situation in most people. There's a real outstanding cloud out there. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can turn this around. If you can see this. See this outstanding cloud out there? That cloud is illuminated from the sun. It is, the sun shines into that cloud, and it is a pink peach. It's absolutely amazing. And that is right over the ocean. It's absolutely stunning. I prefer the trees and the forest over any ocean view. A lot of people, they chop down trees just so they can see the ocean. I don't like that at all. I want the trees. We need the trees. I can see the ocean when I drive to the ocean. I don't need to necessarily see it from here. I see just a little bit ocean. Just a little glimpse here and there of the ocean. And that's all wonderful, but I prefer the trees. We need the trees. Desperately need them. We can't live without the forests. This is an amazing material. Really, really amazing. And then earlier I realized that this country in particular, United States, is probably, from all countries, from all societies in the world, on this planet, this country really has their public completely under control, mind control, much more than any other country. Well, in terms of corporate slavery, I'm talking about corporate slavery. The Middle East is dictated by the religion, which is equally bad, of course. But this country here, they use the religion in order to keep people in that state of corporate slaves. And the religions, they're completely infiltrated by the corporate agenda, completely. Particularly the evangelical Christian religion is. The corporate agenda has all of their filaments in it. Kind of like like an ET that has shot its nerves into something and operates that whole thing out of its own will. So where that other thing has no more, there's no more life on its own. So it's like it's operated and moved by the corporate agenda. And it's very interesting for me to observe when just the other day I was researching something about dentistry and looking for a dentist, and then suddenly there was this real good looking dentist on YouTube, and I thought that was the dentist I was looking for, but then I saw, oh no, it's like at the other end of this country where he is, in Missouri, and that's the Bible Belt. And even though, he's young, he's kind of, the younger people, they have worked hard on getting that Bible Belt accent out because they were kind of ashamed about this. And they're also trying to conceal their religiousness because they're also a little bit ashamed of this, you know. So they're kind of regarded, the Bible Belt by everyone else, or oh, the redneck with his redneck accent and stuff like this. So they're working very hard on this, all shamed. They have been shamed by their parents. They have grown up in their enclave, but they also now, with internet in particular, they also see now that this is shameful also, how they grew up. So now they try to conceal this. It's like a tenfold over shame and concealment that's happening. I'm ashamed of this, then I'm ashamed of the shame. I'm ashamed of the shame of the shame, then I have to conceal the shame and conceal the shaming and conceal the religion and conceal, and everything gets like multifold concealed. And I see what they're doing, I see, and I don't blame them because they're particularly the men again, as I talked about this many times, and particularly in the first part of the series, I talked about how men suffer tremendously, much more than women, in the way that they have to constantly conceal everything. So I saw this couple, the dentist and his wife, and the first couple of videos I gave him thumbs up. I thought it was cool. He's like high tech and everything. And then I see he's in Missouri, and then watch some other videos he made. He wants to kind of like be a little bit of a Vin Diesel in the dentistry department. It's all good. It's okay. I'm not blaming him for it. I know the pressure. I know the desire. I know I see it all. What he's going through. So he wants to be buff and he wants to be hot looking. He wants to have the deep voice. He wants to be sexy. He wants to be bright. He wants to be adorable, and all of this. And I don't blame him for this. I didn't like it that he has the dog in that real small confined trunk space in his van. So the people section had a lot of space with lots of baby equipment on the seats, but the dog had to be, I think he even had shopping bags in there, and the dog couldn't even sit down. That's what it looked like. Dog was kind of suffering. I felt terrible for the dog. It's all because of religion again, Religion is speciesist. Religion doesn't regard dog as, the dog has to sit in the back in the very back of the bus, so to speak, the dog section of the bus. Dogs not allowed in stores and all of this. So they're just as sentient as we are, but they are discriminated against. Religion is big on that. And then I see how then he started to pull up the entire corporate agenda, all the anti-information things, in the dentistry department in particular. All of this, just one thing after another. First he says fluoride is okay, which is not. Yeah, it's been proven that fluoride actually causes serious health problems and real bad damage, neurodegenerative diseases. It's not even good for the teeth and the bones. It actually causes the bones and teeth to become brittle and frilly. But he's running the entire corporate propaganda, the entire everything that was downloaded from the corporate agenda into the religion and into the people that particularly live in these religious enclaves. I call them enclaves because those real religious areas, and this where we live here, it happens to be one as well. All the rural areas in the United States are highly religious. There are more people moving here now also from the big cities, and some of them are not as Bible Beltish. There are some Eckhart followers, so that was refreshing to see. So, but most of them are very, very, the typical standard Republican agenda that they downloaded. And the corporate agenda, when you really observe this, the people, they take this hook, line, and sinker, whatever they deliver to them. Our realtor, whom I love that kid, I feel sorry for him, he's gay, he can't come out of the closet, even though it's absolutely apparent and clear. He knows it, I'm sure he knows, he must know it, but he continues to drive on this anti-information train. So it's a pity, it's horrible for me, to see all these people, how they are living these lies, how they're deceiving themselves. It's incredible. And that guy, that realtor guy, I said solar energy, and I said it was excitement. And as soon as he hears that word, he says, yeah, I heard about it. This is really terrible. Oh, yeah. Oh, it needs to be outlawed. Oops. Was? That was just a little glimpse into the evangelical world that I had there. I normally don't have much contact to them, but it's like I said solar energy. I was gonna talk about it in an upbeat way, and he picks it up and immediately says, yeah, that's terrible, that needs to be outlawed. You see how the corporations, the oil industry, you see how they manipulate these evangelical people? They have them completely in their claws. It's amazing. It's amazing how they are brainwashed and mind controlled, these people. It is amazing. And they're also not allowed to ask questions. Not allowed to ask. But wait a minute, why is this? They're not allowed to ask that. They're not even allowed to think that, just like the Muslims are not allowed to ask any questions. just as brainwashed as the Muslims are, just as brainwashed as the most fundamentalist flat earth society people. So, just as the Mormons, devil worshippers, cults, Jehovah's Witnesses, the weirdest cults, same thing. Religion is cult. It's brainwash, it is brain rot, it's a disease, that's what it is. And they buy everything that the corporate agenda has injected into that religion. They buy it all. They don't question anything. No matter how little it makes sense. It makes no sense at all of this. If you look at, solar energy is the lifesaver on this planet. Okay. But they jump on the corporate bandwagon, and it's shocking for me to see this, because I'm not regarding Stuart. I said the name, but you don't know the last name. I don't regard Stuart as a stupid person. When I see him, I feel like giving him a hug. I saw him recently. I gave him a hug. He acted kind of surprised. Because, I feel just like I feel protective of him, sort of. I feel sorry that he has to live that life. He should be in West Hollywood. He should be having a boyfriend, and he should be out there. He should be in philosophy groups talking about the meaning of life and questioning all this bullshit. He should be free. But instead he lives this life as a minister, and isolated away from the people he should really hang out with. What a life, what a monstrous life that is. But, his needs, his physical needs, all of this is still there underneath. How he's going to cope with all of this? How is he going to cope with even the internal contradiction to that religion and all of this? I don't know. I wish I could open this truth up to the whole world. I wish I could just, with the magic wand, I could tip you on the forehead with this phallic wand and say, free yourselves, man, free yourselves, whoever you are, whatever your needs are, your orientations, whatever your hormones are, whatever you like, whatever your preferences are, the true preferences, whatever your needs are for life itself, If you feel comfortable sitting under a tree, do it. If you feel comfortable in nature, then don't work in a bank. It's all these things. All of it. The corporate agenda, they own the evangelical Christian religion. I'm not saying the Catholics are much better, but they're owned by the Vatican, which is a business. It's not much better. And Islam is like what Gary Mendem said. It's the raw sewage of religion. Okay. But just because one is a little bit better than the other doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it okay. No. this brainwashing and this accepting of all of this. You are the ones who keep all of this going, you know. If you question it, if you get out of that, if you live your life in love and compassion and get out of this brainwash, and you love yourself and you accept yourself for whom you are without the need for social acceptance, where you can speak your mind and not be afraid to be booed out by any kind of audience. You speak your mind and you live your life in freedom, breathing and freedom, not in suspense, okay? Not shallow breathing to the upper part, but breathing through the abdomen, all the way through. Belly dancing, yoga, meditation. Shake yourself up, shake your body up literally. Shake your brain. Feels good, you know, to shake your whole body. Why do you think dogs shake themselves? Because it feels good. And there's a purpose for that. It shakes things loose. They also shake themselves when they're looking forward to something, or when they're feeling good or feeling happy about something. So we can learn a lot from dogs, from the way they conduct themselves. This infinite loyalty, the infinite friendship and love. That's cosmic. We can learn from that, and people should learn from them. The corporate agenda is only interested in profit maximizations. They're only interested in what works the best for them to keep people under their thumb and in their mind control. So that's the only thing they're thinking and pondering over all day long. It's greed-based. They themselves are not evangelical Christians, but they use the evangelical Christian religion as their tool. People need to become aware about this. Become aware that you are working for Lockheed Martin. Also, when you go to the military, you are serving Lockheed Martin and ExxonMobil and Boeing and Eli Lilly. Okay? You're serving those. You're serving the greed-based corporate agenda. Okay? All the greed-based corporations that are latched onto that corporate agenda. It's so obvious, it's so crystal clear. Open your eyes and you will see it. Free yourselves from that. If you step out of it, they have no more control over you. Okay? But you have to make that leap. This world and the state of this world rests on you. It rests on your decision. Okay? It really does. Your decision is every single one of you. Your decision is what shapes the world. If you believe everything, you jump on that bandwagon. Daddy said, I'm gonna beat you if you don't go to the military, and you will be obedient and all of this. Then you are hurting yourself and you're hurting others. You're hurting animals and other people by doing this. Albert Einstein talked about this as well. Everyone praises Albert Einstein. Oh, he's the iconic figure. He's being even used as the pictogram of intelligence. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, what he actually said, people are not going to listen. They're not going to listen to it. They're going to ignore it real quickly. They're going to put it in a hide it deep in a drawer, because that's too inconvenient. Then I would have to look within myself, right? That's what people don't want to do. And all of these things, they just don't fit don't fit in the front or in the back or on the side. And it doesn't matter how little it fits, just like the flat earthers. Doesn't matter how much evidence is against their beliefs. It wouldn't matter how much. You could put them in an airplane, you can fly them around the globe. They will still not buy into it. They hang on to their belief no matter what. Same with the evangelical people. Whatever is presented to them as, like whatever politician is presented to them as good, they'll go, oh yeah, that guy is good. They have never looked at the guy, never read his posts, never read his blogs, never gone on their website. It's presented to them just like people voted for Barack Obama, the same thing, just from the other camp. So white people had to vote for him or they would be booed out as being racist. Black people voted for him because he is one of them. What he actually stands for and does, people didn't look into it. Neither the white liberals looked into this, nor the people that are voting for him because of his skin color looked into this. No one looked into it. It's real painful what Barack Obama has done to the animals. Real awful. Real horrific. It's real psychopathic what he has done. He put Ken Salazar into the office of the Interior. Ken Salazar paid himself into that position under the table. And Ken Salazar had the wolves shot from helicopters and airplanes. Wild wolves. He had the wild horses rounded up. They were screaming in panic. Had most of them slaughtered, and had drilled others, and they tried to make them into domestic horses by drilling them, and I don't know what they did. I don't even want to think about it. They probably broke their minds. And I have met wild horses in Reno. I fed an apple to 2 teenage wild horses. I will never forget that. It was the cutest thing how they came up to me. They were scared, but they were also curious. And they could tell that there was an apple, and that I wanted to make contact with them, that I liked them. And then a year later, or 2 years later, the Bureau of Land Management came under Salazar and rounded up the wild horses. And I saw the footage and the photos, and I had a nervous breakdown. That's what I mean when I talk about disconnect. Yeah. A psychological disconnect. People who are disconnected, they do these terrible things to animals. They don't see the other living being. That's why I make these videos as a form of activism, in order to speak out to the world. This is my only window to the world where I can actually say it out. Not just write it out, but I write all day long in this regard, but say it also. Say it and cry it out, and cry with the animals, and communicate this out with everything, with art and sensuality. This is sensuality. I can't change the way I look. And if I did, then it would be, if I went under the knife, then it would be artificial. I don't know if that would support the message. So I want people to love themselves for who they are, whether people regard me as ugly or not. I have to love myself the way I am, and I want you to do the same thing for yourselves, and not go by what Hollywood dictates to you how to look. But love yourself. Love yourself the way you are. Just the way you are. And you're perfect the way you are. I don't know if you can see them. You see the disco lights. The disco lights? It's nice, huh? That's sensuality. The disco lights, the sweater colors, my artwork, all of this is, it's for the senses, to help us. It's a beautiful, gorgeous light that my husband bought. I wished I could help more, but I'm very confined within the margins of my possibilities that I have, my communication possibilities that I have. A person like myself is not going to be facilitated in regards to reaching the public, to say the least, if not marginalized, if not muted. So that's why I'm grateful to YouTube that I have this channel, or these two channels that I have, that I have the opportunity for that. I have some more channels, but they're dormant. I'm not using them. Occasionally I use the other one, and mainly use this one. I'm grateful for that I have these channels. Whether I make money on that or not, and I'm not making money. Jeff Bezos, he has the opportunity to make really good people known. He has gained that leverage with Kindle ebook store. He could if he wanted to, he could make my book known. He could advertise my book for me. He could do that. He would help the whole world if he did. And Annalise's book that I translated is on Kindle as well. He could make these books seen by the public. But he doesn't know about me. He doesn't know I even exist. And that's okay, it's just I wished I had more opportunities to bring this message across in either way. The message is what matters. I want you to bring the message across. The message of love, true love. Do it your way. Put your signature on it if you want to. Put your face on it. I don't care. I want the message to be put into the world. Pamela Anderson has done a lot of work on that. I want everyone to do it. Bring the message of true love into the world. Let's give animals personhood rights. That's what I want to see. I don't know if I'm going to see it in my lifetime. I wish for it. It rests on you what happens in the future. That's what most people don't seem to realize, that you there, watching, that you are responsible for the future, for all life. Your actions are what shapes the future. Every single person. No one is exempt. No one is standing outside of that realm. Adyashanti too. What you do right now is what shapes the future. He said, you hate logging, but do you hate the loggers? And I said in a comment, I said, yes, I hate the loggers. That's a no-brainer, right? But, he's approaching this from the relativism kind of perspective. And people like Nick, the modern mystic, who's from England, lives in France, he'll pick up on Adyashanti, what he said, and he will make that into his philosophy. And then he leans back with a glass of whatever, and he said, oh, it's all relative. Anyway, I don't have to do anything. That's a dangerous, dangerous thing to promote to the world. It's popular, you bet, but it's a dangerous thing to do. Because that's why there are all these people running around saying everything is relative. Yuji Krishnamurti did it too. He promoted the relativism approach. And then all of these people go, yay, I don't have to do anything. And whatever I did in the past doesn't matter anyway. Yeah. That's a dangerous, dangerous approach. It is obvious that every single person is responsible for the future. It's obvious. Every single person is responsible. Live your life as good as you can, as kind and compassionate as you can, and do something. That means signing petitions, not blocking my petitions on Facebook. That means signing the petitions. I sign it even though I cry, and it's real hard for me, but I sign them anyway. Do something, you know, do something to help. You figure something out. Live your life in a kind way. Go vegan. It's your responsibility to do this. Live a kind life, compassionate, caring. That means thinking outside the group. And for anyone who's afraid of, afraid or gets bullied, you have a friend in me. Come to me, we can talk. I support you. You don't need the trolls and the haters to support you. I support you. Kind people support you when you are kind. That's what matters. We help each other. We support each other. You don't need to be accepted and respected by unkind people. Be kind no matter what. You don't need a religion for that. Truth and love stands for itself. Completely free from any kind of indoctrination.